Welcome back to the Goku Angel Saga. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because what you're about to witness will redefine everything you thought you knew about power, sacrifice, and the cosmic order itself. This is where legends transcend mortality. In the infinite realm of void, where time ceased to exist, Goku stood on the precipice of transformation, his body radiating with an intensity that bent reality itself. 12 years of suffering had led to this singular moment, and the mysterious woman, whose name had never been spoken aloud, whose history stretched beyond the memory of creation, extended her hand one final time. The air around them crackled with dormant power, with potential waiting to be unleashed. "You have endured what no mortal was ever meant to bear," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of eons. "The golden instinct is complete within you, but there remains one final ascension. To become what you must be, you will need what I am about to give. This is not merely power, Goku. This is truth made manifest. This is the burden of knowledge that has crushed ages under its weight." Goku felt something shift in the very fabric of existence around them. The woman's form began to glow with an otherworldly luminescence, a light so pure and ancient that it seemed to predate the universe itself, as though she were channeling the very essence of creation's first moment. "What are these symbols appearing on my body?" Goku asked, watching golden markings spiral across his skin like living fire. Each symbol blazed with meaning, with history, with the accumulated power of beings long forgotten by time itself. The woman smiled, her eyes reflecting a sorrow that transcended pain, a sadness that belonged to someone who had watched millennia pass in isolation. "Those are the marks of angelic essence. They bind you to a truth you must soon discover. They are stamps of legitimacy in a realm where legitimacy has been carefully controlled and manipulated. But first, let me show you what lies beneath your breaking form." Her hands moved through the air, and the very fabric of Goku's body transformed. The burnt skin healed. The tattered Ge reformed into garments of celestial cloth, woven from light itself, fitted with divine precision. The process was excruciating and beautiful simultaneously. Goku felt as though his very soul was being reconstructed, rebuilt from its foundations into something greater and stranger. When the transformation completed, Goku stood not as a man, but as something greater, an angelic being whose very presence seemed to resonate with creation's foundational power. His reflection in the void's darkness showed him a stranger wearing his face, wearing the legacy of powers he had never imagined possible. "What does this mean?" Goku asked, touching the strange vestments. They felt lighter than air, yet heavier than mountains, a contradiction that somehow made perfect sense. The woman replied with knowing sadness, "It means you are no longer bound by the limitations of mortality. These garments will grow heavier as your power increases, as your understanding deepens. Had I given them to you before this moment, your bones would have turned to dust. Your body would have collapsed under the weight of what now flows through you. You required this preparation, this careful building of capacity." Goku began to ask another question, but the woman raised her hand with gentle finality. "There is no time for explanations now. What happens in the realm beyond calls to you. I can feel it reverberating through the barriers that separate us from the outside. Your son battles on Earth. The gods of destruction have chosen this moment to strike, believing you forever sealed away, believing they have this one final chance at vengeance. But you must not lose focus now. I need you to remain still, to accept what I am about to transfer into you. If you resist even slightly, if you allow your concentration to waver for a single heartbeat, your consciousness will be shattered beyond recovery. You will become a hollow vessel, aware but powerless to act." Goku nodded gravely and closed his eyes. The woman placed her palms against his chest and began the final transfer. Energy flowed from her into him, not violently, but with the careful precision of a mother guiding her child's first breath. The power was boundless, infinite, containing within it the weight of decisions made across billions of years. The sacrifice of one individual choosing to end her own existence for the possibility of change. As the energy coursed through him, Goku gasped. He could see everything. Every universe laid bare before his consciousness. Every realm, every plane, every dimension that existed in the spaces between spaces. Every conflict across the cosmos played out simultaneously in his awareness. And at the center of it all, he felt the familiar presence of his son fighting for his life on Earth, struggling against forces that should have obliterated him, persisting through sheer will and the determination to honor his father's legacy. Meanwhile, on the battered surface of Earth, Gohan's battle had reached its crescendo. The three gods of destruction, Liquir, Jin, pressed their advantage with overwhelming force, their coordinated strikes designed by centuries of strategic warfare. They had studied Goku's techniques for years, watched recordings of his fights, waited patiently for their moment of revenge, believing that they could finally settle the score with the Saiyan who had humbled their predecessors. But Gohan, embodying his own unique manifestation of Ultra Instinct, had proven to be something they had not anticipated. His speed was incomprehensible to their senses. His instincts were sharper than any of them had ever witnessed in the annals of divine combat. When Liquir lunged from the left with crystalline speed and Jin attacked from the right with power that shook dimensional barriers, Gohan's hands moved with supernatural grace, intercepting both strikes simultaneously. His palms pressed against their fists with immovable force, and for a moment, all sound ceased. The universe seemed to hold its breath. For a moment, all three combatants seemed frozen in time, locked in a tableau of pure concentrated power. Then Gohan's grip tightened with terrible deliberation. "I am my father's son," he said quietly, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. The resulting explosion vaporized Liquir and Jin in a torrent of light and energy that tore through the atmosphere. Their screams were silenced in an instant. The ground beneath the arena shattered into molten fragments, and the heat rose so intensely that even the clouds above began to evaporate. The remaining warriors, Krillin, Piccolo, Chi-Chi, and the younger fighters, stood breathless behind the mysterious barrier that had protected them since the battle's beginning. Piccolo's expression remained impassive, but his eyes betrayed his shock. Nobody knew who had erected this barrier. Nobody dared to ask, though speculation filled their minds. Was it Goku somehow, reaching across the dimensions? Was it one of the mysterious figures they had sensed lurking at the edges of their perception? Vex, the lead commander among the gods, roared with fury, born of desperation, and watched his subordinates vanish from existence. He charged forward, abandoning caution entirely. His strength had been honed through cycles of destruction spanning millennia, through countless worlds reduced to ash under his command, through billions of lives snuffed out at his whim. He believed that brute force would prevail. He was catastrophically wrong. Gohan met him head-on with a counter-strike that seemed to appear from nowhere, striking with a precision that required no visible exertion. Vex was driven backward with the inevitability of a meteor, crashing through stone and earth until he collided with a distant mountain range. The impact created a shockwave that rippled across continents, triggering earthquakes and tsunamis. The sky flashed with aurora-like patterns as reality itself struggled to contain the energies being unleashed. When the dust settled after several minutes, Vex rose again, his body broken but still functional. His form began to transform, muscles expanding, power consolidating. Ancient magic began to swirl around him, power that transcended normal destruction energy. It was fused with the oldest magic, with techniques passed down through beings whose names had been erased from history, who existed only in myths and forgotten legends. "You think yourself strong, boy," Vex bellowed, his voice distorted by rage and transformation. "I have obliterated billions, tens of billions. I have felt civilizations crumble beneath me, watched entire species beg for mercy before I erased them. Your arrogance has sealed your fate. I am going to make you understand true suffering. He launched a relentless barrage of attacks, each strike containing the combined force of destroyed worlds. For the first time since the battle began, Gohan found himself pushed backward, his feet digging trenches in the earth as he retreated. The barrier protecting his friends rippled with strain, its transparency flickering slightly. Krillin gasped. Piccolo's eyes widened to an almost comical degree. That power, he breathed, his ancient warrior senses screaming warnings. It's something different, something far older than the gods themselves. This is magic older than the angels, older than creation. Where is he pulling this from? Far away, watching from a cliff shrouded in perpetual shadow, two figures stood motionless. One of them, whose features remained hidden, whose power rippled through dimensions like an invisible storm, raised a single hand. Blue energy crackled between his fingers. His companion, whose voice carried echoes as if speaking from the depths of a cosmic abyss, asked, "Should we intervene now? The barrier you created will not hold if Vex pushes further." The first figure shook his head slowly. "Not yet. Growth requires suffering. The boy must face the limits of his power and transcend them through will alone. That is the only way he will become what we need him to be. When the moment of true defeat approaches, then we will act. But not before." The companion seemed to accept this, though uncertainty flickered across his features. In the grand palatial hall, where the Grand Priest held dominion over all creation, the atmosphere had become tense with anticipation. The angels gathered in perfect formation, their faces carved from stone, their obedience absolute. Behind them, the Kaioshins from every universe trembled. They understood that something had shifted in the cosmic balance. The Grand Priest rose from his throne slowly, his ancient eyes scanning the assembled multitude. When he finally spoke, his voice seemed to reshape reality itself. 12 years ago, I erased the memory of a certain warrior from existence. I believed this action would protect the natural order, would prevent unnecessary complications. I was wrong. The angels exchanged glances. This was unprecedented. The Grand Priest never admitted error. He continued, "Now in the void that was meant to be sealed away, something is awakening. Can you feel it? The walls of that realm are cracking. Reality itself is straining under the weight of transformation. And I believe I know precisely what has caused this disturbance." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the assembly. "Summon all available angels. We must prepare for what is coming. And tell me, where is Vados in all of this?" The angels searched for her with their senses, but Vados was nowhere to be found. She had slipped away from the palace, drawn by a knowledge she possessed but could not fully explain. Deep within her, something had recognized the energy erupting from the void. Something ancient and motherly stirred in her consciousness. A memory that had been buried for millions of years, but was now rising to the surface, demanding attention. She journeyed toward Earth, moving faster than even light itself could travel. The energy transfer in the void reached its apex. Goku's body glowed with celestial fire so intense that it seemed to burn away the very concept of darkness itself. The pendant that the woman had given him, the sacred key, pulsed against his chest in perfect rhythm with his heartbeat. A second heartbeat, as if another consciousness was becoming synchronized with his own. "I cannot survive this," the woman whispered, her voice barely audible above the roar of power filling the void. The pain in her tone was immeasurable, ancient, belonging to someone who had carried suffering for eons. "My essence is being divided, split between what I once was and what you must become. But I accept this. I have waited for this moment for so long that I can barely remember the weight of hope itself. It feels almost like forgetting pain to finally release it." Goku's eyes snapped open, his pupils glowing with newfound awareness. "What are you saying? What do you mean you cannot survive? Tell me there is another way. There must be another path." Tears streamed down the woman's face, as her form began to dissolve into light, her physical body unraveling into components of pure energy. "My name was Alicia," she said softly, and those words seemed to shake the foundations of reality itself, as if the universe was hearing a name that had been systematically erased from every record of existence. Before I was bound to this void, before I was erased from memory by a tyrant's wish, I was a wife. I loved a man with a depth that transcended the boundaries of form and dimension. I was a mother. I raised a child so beautiful that his laughter could make the stars dance. His joy was infectious, genuine, untainted by ambition. That child grew twisted under the hands of those who feared his potential, who saw in him a threat to their carefully constructed hierarchy. They shaped him into the entity known as Zeno, the king of all. But what they created was not what I birthed. They made him forget my touch, my voice, the warmth of my love. They erased me from his memory completely, removing every trace of maternal connection. Every year I spent here in this prison, trapped in the void they created specifically to contain me, I remembered. Every moment of isolation, I held on to the hope that one day someone would come to this realm. Someone with a pure heart, someone willing to fight for truth, even when the entire cosmos worked against them. Someone pure enough to be worthy of my sacrifice. That person is you, Goku. You are my final gift to a universe that has forgotten kindness, to a cosmos that has mistaken order for justice. You are the proof that light can still exist in the deepest darkness. Goku dropped to his knees, tears flowing freely down his face, his entire body trembling. I don't understand. Why would you do this? How can I accept this burden? You barely know me. You've spent millions of years here suffering, and now you choose to die for someone you've only met for a handful of years. Alicia smiled through her vanishing form, a smile that contained all the love and sorrow of a mother's heart. Because Zeno deserves to remember. Because the universe deserves to know that light existed before darkness seized the throne. Because you, Goku, have always fought not for power, not for personal glory, but for the protection of others. You have sacrificed your life repeatedly, asked for nothing in return, sought only to ensure that those you love could live in peace. And that is the truest form of light, the light that the universe desperately needs. The light consumed her completely. For a moment, the void was filled with brilliant radiance so intense it seemed to burn away concept itself. Then silence. Absolute, complete silence. Goku stood alone, holding the pendant in his trembling hands. The pendant was warm, impossibly warm, pulsing like a second heartbeat. He felt her presence within him, woven into every fiber of his being, integrated into his consciousness as intimately as his own thoughts. And he understood now. Complete understanding flooded his awareness like a tidal wave. He understood everything. The memory wipe orchestrated by the Grand Priest, the sealed husband imprisoned in dimensions beyond perception, the twisted child who had been shaped into an emotionless ruler, the entire conspiracy that had shaped the structure of the cosmos for billions of years, the systematic elimination of free will, the replacement of truth with carefully controlled narratives. His voice rose in a scream that split reality asunder. The scream was not merely sound, but pure expression of rage and determination and grief and resolve. The void itself began to crack. Massive fissures appeared in the fabric of that sealed realm, spreading like fractures in shattering glass. The barriers themselves could not contain the truth that Goku had just discovered, could not hold back the force of one man's commitment to justice. On Earth, the barrier suddenly shattered. Vex's attack had finally overwhelmed its power, but the moment of its breaking coincided with a cataclysm of celestial proportions that defied normal physics. The sky tore open with a sound like reality screaming. Light poured down like a waterfall of pure energy, cascading through the atmosphere and turning day into something beyond day, something beyond comprehension. Gohan's friends screamed, shielding their eyes against the brilliance that seemed to burn away the very concept of darkness. Piccolo fell to one knee, his ancient senses overwhelmed. Krillin clutched at the ground, trying to find stability. Chi-Chi wept, believing that this was the end, that Earth itself was being unmade. Gohan himself stood motionless, feeling something he had never felt before. His father's presence, impossibly distant, yet unmistakably powerful, reaching across dimensions to touch his consciousness like a hand placed gently on his heart. It was unmistakable. That presence, that signature, that warmth. "May hold on," Goku's voice whispered through the very fabric of space itself. Spoken not with sound, but with pure will, transmitted across the barriers between worlds. "I'm coming. I'm finally coming home." The light coalesced, condensed, reformed, and then, descending through the shattered heavens like an angel of judgment, Goku appeared. His form was no longer human. His skin glowed with divine luminescence. His hair shimmered with celestial patterns. His garments flowed like liquid starlight. The pendant he wore pulsed with an ancient magic that predated creation itself. The gods of destruction fell back, their courage evaporating like mist before the morning sun. Champa, watching from his position among the assembled gods, felt his heart seize with recognition. "Impossible," he whispered. "This is exactly what happened to Beerus. This is the emergence of a force beyond our comprehension." Goku looked at his son with a tenderness that contradicted the raw power radiating from him. "I'm sorry I took so long," he said, "but I'm here now, and I promise you, whatever threatens this planet, whatever threatens you, will answer to me." He raised his gaze toward the heavens, and his eyes locked onto the realm beyond, the palace of the Grand Priest, the assembled angels, the hierarchy that had governed creation for eternity. The angels sensed his attention and felt something they had never experienced before: absolute dread. The Grand Priest's throne trembled. "He has escaped," the ancient being whispered, and for the first time since creation, uncertainty clouded his voice. "The void is collapsing, and he has awakened with power I cannot calculate. Mobilize all forces. We must contain this immediately." Hundreds of angels began to move, but their movements were hesitant, uncertain. They had been told that this warrior had been erased from existence. They had been told that no threat remained. They had been told that order was eternal and unbreakable. Now they watched as a man who should not exist descended upon them with the inevitability of a meteor. Goku's first opponent was the commander of the angel forces, a being of immense power who had subjugated countless worlds. Their clash created a shockwave that shattered stars across 3 universes. The commander's staff blazed with celestial energy, but when Goku's palm pressed against it, the weapon crumbled to dust. The angel's scream echoed across the cosmos before he was dissolved into nothingness. One by one, the strongest angels fell before him, not because they lacked power, but because they lacked understanding. They had never fought an opponent who combined the strength of mortals, the technique of gods, and the ancient magic of beings whose names had been erased from history. They had never encountered true conviction, the unwavering determination of someone fighting to restore what had been stolen. Then came the revelation, the moment when the truth finally burst into the open. As Goku stood victorious over the assembled forces of heaven, a light similar to his own suddenly appeared in their midst, a radiance that made the angels shield their faces. Vados stepped forward with determination, tears streaming down her face, her hand extended toward Goku with love and recognition. "Stop," she commanded, her voice piercing through the chaos like a blade, overriding all other sounds. "If any of you still listen to me, if any memory of what was remains in your hearts, you must understand who stands before you." She turned to face the assembled angels, her expression fierce and resolute. She pointed directly to the pendant glowing upon Goku's chest with unmistakable certainty. "That is our mother's pendant. The pendant she wore before she was imprisoned, before her name was erased, before we were made to forget her. Our mother gave everything for this warrior. She sacrificed her existence so that he could stand here, and challenged the order that has enslaved us for eons. The angels froze. Whispers spread through their ranks. Some faces showed confusion, others showed denial, and some showed the first glimmers of awakening, as if memories long suppressed were suddenly breaking through the walls of their conditioned minds. The strongest angel among them, ancient beyond measure, second only to the Grand Priest, stepped forward. "This changes nothing," he declared, his voice a rumble of cosmic proportions. "We have been given our orders. We will obey. Goku, whatever you are now, whatever power you have inherited, you will not defeat all of us." He raised his staff, and the assembled angels followed his example. Hundreds of divine weapons glowed in unison. The stage was set for the final confrontation. Goku smiled, and in that smile was the warmth of a mother's sacrifice, the determination of a father protecting his family, the resolve of a son fighting to save his own, and the ancient wisdom of a being who had transcended the limitations of her own existence. He took a single step forward, and the very foundations of the celestial palace cracked beneath his feet, massive fissures splitting the marble and stone. "And then let us settle this matter once and for all," he said calmly, his voice resonating with authority that transcended mere sound. "For Alicia, for Zeno, for everyone whose truth has been buried beneath lies and false order, for all those erased from history by convenience and fear. I will defeat each of you, not out of revenge, but out of necessity. I will restore balance to this universe, restore the truth that has been hidden, or I will cease to exist in the attempt." The strongest angel among them snarled and raised his staff higher. Around him, his brothers and sisters did the same. There were hundreds of them, each one possessing power that could level civilizations, each one trained through eons of practice, each one believing absolutely in their righteousness. The battle erupted in a cascade of energy and light that tore through dimensions like reality itself was made of tissue paper. Entire galaxies shook with the force of their clashes. The fundamental laws of cosmic hierarchy rewrote themselves in real time. The first 10 angels fell within heartbeats, obliterated by strikes they could not even perceive beginning. The commander of the angel forces attempted to combine their powers, but Goku simply walked through their combined assault as if it were a gentle breeze. One by one, the strongest angels fell before this warrior reborn, each defeat more impossible than the last. The very fabric of creation trembled with the knowledge that everything was about to change. The eternal order that had governed the multiverse for billions of years was collapsing. And as the light faded and the dust settled, only one figure remained standing on the battlefield. Goku, radiating with the power of his sacrifice and his purpose, looked toward the Grand Priest's throne. His eyes glowed with determination. The cosmic order has been shattered. The truth has been revealed. And Goku now stands as the champion of a universe that forgot what light truly means. But the Grand Priest still sits upon his throne, and the final confrontation looms ahead. If you want to see what happens when Goku faces the architect of all this corruption, when truth confronts tyranny in its purest form, then subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell, because the next episode will determine the fate of every universe in existence. The Goku Angel Saga continues, and you won't want to miss a single moment.